Welcome to Revline Racing's official podcast. Revline Racing is a professional simulated racing team focused on being as competitive as possible on iRacing. Primarily competing in the Nascar iRacing series, Revline accomplished 29 wins, 15 pole awards, 83 top fives, and 5,248 laps led in the 2022 season. Hosted by Locke and Ryan Crofut, our podcast will allow listeners to hear firsthand how we perform week to week, what plans we have for the coming week, and the opportunity to get to know our drivers through guest appearances. Thank you for listening. Enjoy. Welcome to the Revline Racing Podcast. I am Evan Locke, Revline's media manager and one of your podcast hosts, along with my co-host, Ryan Crofut, the owner and team leader of Revline Racing. Tonight, we've also got Revline Racing's dirt leader, Mr. Jermane Vines. And of course, all joking aside, Jermane is actually our co-leader for our Asphalt Oval program, along with Kyle Tate, who was here last week. So welcome, Jermane. It's great to have you.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely, man. This week, of course, we're going to depart from what was a pretty good week at Richmond, and we're going to head to the last great Coliseum, Bristol, but just a little twist. It's on dirt.
Yeah, so looking back at last week at Richmond, had one pole award, one win, three top fives, and two top tens. 60 laps led. So for struggling last week, trying to put together something in practice and throughout the week, we had overall a pretty good week.
Yeah, it started with a really frustrating practice on Monday, and none of us seemed to be happy with the cars and the setup, and just wasn't feeling quite right for anybody. And I'm not sure really what the issue was, but it seemed to turn around throughout the week, which was really good and really positive. It's always fun when the team performs better, of course, right? That's the whole goal.
One thing I think that really threw us for a loop, and that kind of goes back to Phoenix when that tire model was updated, and ever since then we just never really got the feel quite right for some of these tracks, and I think Richmond kind of played a role in that. So last year we had just an awesome couple setups there, and we kind of looked at doing something similar this year. At least that's kind of the intent I had, and that just didn't work for me. We kind of had to go and start over with Richmond rather than looking back on previous year. So that was kind of different, where normally we would look back and okay, we did this type of setup build, and these types of lines and this and that, right? And we didn't really have that this year with this track. I'm not sure if it was something to do with just temp, or I think a lot of it was probably this tire model. But Jermane, do you have any input on any of that with Richmond?
Yeah, Richmond for me was kind of up and down, man. Like the first race of the week I had was actually right after practice that we conducted on Monday, and I actually finished us sixth. I think Jeffrey passed me, Jeffrey Bala, one of our rookie drivers, or newer drivers to the team, passed me in the last lap for fifth, and that was my best race of the week. But I did have let me take a look at my own personal stats. Yeah, I had a sixth place, 17th, a 13th, and a 10th, and an 11th. So it was kind of up and down. It was about an average race for Richmond, man. Like you said, I think the new tire model played a big role in tire wear and trying not to be as abrasive on the tires as we try to navigate through there. But yeah, Richmond is it may look easy, but it don't drive easy, man. It's a very patient track that you have to have patience with, and really got to race the track instead of the other drivers. That's about the best thing you can do to get around there, right?
One thing I never really factored in. This was the first time we went to Richmond with this package. So last year we had high horsepower, but I believe we had the big spoiler, right? So we had a lot of downforce. This time we didn't. We had the small spoiler, so I think that played a huge role in it too. Unless I'm mixing that up, but I believe that's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right with that.
yeah, but I'll be honest. I'm going to take the Kevin Harvick approach and say I didn't feel much different from the race last week from in comparison to last season. I mean, we still fought the same issues, loose off, and if you slide the tires in tight, tight entry. If we fought the same issues, at least I did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, it's still Richmond, right? You're still going to have those same issues.
mhm.
I just think that maybe maybe it modified some of those small mistakes we made and didn't really notice last year. Maybe they were more predominant this year or something. I'm not really sure. But regardless, I mean, it really impacted us last week with all these little changes and stuff. And I know Jordan Smeets had something going before practice on last Monday with his setup, and all of a sudden it just stopped working. And I don't really understand what happens there. I don't know if it's something in iRacing where the file starts to become corrupt or something. I know we had issues with that last year where we'd open it back up and look at it and it's like, well, how did this spring shouldn't be here. This spring is like completely maxed out and we never touched that spring. Weird things were happening to us last year, and I don't know how much Jordan was paying attention to that stuff, but maybe that's something I need to suggest to him. I didn't really think about that until now.
Yeah, it could be. Could definitely have been a offline issue that was causing online issues once he logged in and tried to log some laps. But who knows, man? Just it also could have been temperature. Could have been track temp. Nowadays, the slightest changes totally affects the balance of these cars. So you got to kind of be on top of that.
Yeah, regardless, we overcome it. This week at Bristol will be pretty interesting. I think I'm excited for it. I know a lot of guys aren't, but I'm just ready for something different. And I enjoy racing dirt, and it's something that I'm comfortable at for whatever reason. I don't really know why, but I'm looking forward to it. How are you guys feeling about it?
Yeah, I know you didn't ask for a show of hands and you couldn't see mine if it was raised anyway, but mine was up when you said a lot of people aren't looking forward to it. I This is not actually, this is the first year I'm going to be able to actually partake in it, even though I was part of the team last year. Even though I was part of the team last year, I simply wasn't able to have a computer that processed the dirt. So I don't have a lot of experience, not only with Bristol, but with dirt, period. It's been extremely interesting. I think it's actually going to be a little bit easier at the beginning of the race than anything I've practiced in, simply because there's going to be more grip available. As the run goes on, the grip goes away, and I, for whatever reason, have not found that rhythm yet. Now that being said, at the beginning of last week too, I thought the same thing, and I ended up with a pretty good week overall. So I'm hoping that tomorrow I'm running a race early in the morning with Kyle and whoever else jumps on. So I'm hoping I can learn some things throughout that race. Of course, the more cars you get around you, typically the more you can learn and develop and grow. So I'm hoping I can take those into the NIS series and see what we can do. But it's a slick track when it gets a little bit of usage on it, and it gets really slick really quick. And I'm not sure I'm where I need to be yet, but we're gonna work on it. I don't know, what about you, Jermaine? Where are you sitting?
I love Bristol. Love Bristol. It's a very fast, high banked half mile, but I do not like Bristol dirt because it's two totally different disciplines. Asphalt Bristol, you're up against the wall, where you gotta ease it down to the bottom, be easy on the throttle, let it rotate, get back on the throttle. Dirt Bristol, you literally just have to slam the damn car into the corner. You got to turn right a little bit, turn hard left, let the car try to, have some oversteer with it, and then counter steer. And that's my personal problem. Is just I have too much oversteer. I just can't catch the back end quick enough, and then you got to try to modulate the throttle. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, I'm not very good at reading the dirt. I don't know where the best line is, especially once you get worn. Um, Clearly in the middle, you can see the rubber buildup under the dirt, so you can see that's trying to come in. But I also feel like that's not where you want to run. You want to kind of be in the dirt so the car can slide and be slick. So I personally am not looking forward to Dirt Bristol, but I will be out there with you guys. I'm going to give it my best whole hum. And I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be 8,000 cautions. So if I can avoid at least 7,000 of them, I should be in pretty good position, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's one thing with Bristol. It's really all entry. Like if you don't have a good run going into that entry and set yourself up, you're really going to struggle the whole part of that turn, and then that's going to set you up for a bad exit, and then you might be too low going into the next turn, so that'll throw you off. It's hard to get that initial entry right, and then be able to maintain that lap after lap after lap. And as soon as you mess up, it's like you got to take a step back and try to run a little bit slower just to be able to hit that line right. And
Yep.
it makes it hard, just trying to stay consistent every single lap, and especially when you get around other cars, because it's dirt, you're sliding around, and even though they're doing their best to hold their line and stuff, they're sliding around, you're sliding around, and it's really hard to be able to race and anticipate where people are going, and they're most guys are going to try to give you room because they don't want to wreck either, right?
Right.
But you're slipping, even though you're trying to hold that line, sometimes you just can't on this dirt, which especially at Bristol, because usually, like a lot of dirt tracks, you'll have a defined line throughout the race, which there is at Bristol, but you also have some more freedom at Bristol because of the high banking. You can have guys running the bottom, and you can have guys running the top, and early on you can definitely have guys running the middle. The middle is probably the best part of the track, but that's why it also rubbers up first. Everybody's running the middle.
Right.
And once that rubbers up, it makes it hard to try to find a line. You either have to be pretty slow on the bottom, or you have to go up top and figure out how to run up there, and that's definitely the fastest, but what's up there is also the wall, so it makes it pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean it's challenging, and I'm sure for all the guys that has a ton of experience in dirt, this is the 1 week they're salivating for to showcase their skills and opportunity. But as for me, man, it's really just going to be a week of survival. Just try to survive the best I can. Try to get some experience. Try to learn some things for the next dirt race next year at Bristol, if there's going to be one, and go from there. But yeah, this is just going to be a week of survival for me.
And I will say too, just to take this to the next step, one thing I am looking forward to is seeing those guys that, the guys that are newer to the team that I'm really excited to see perform really well this week, like Chris Norris, for example. I have high expectations for how Chris is going to run here, simply because he has quite a bit of dirt experience, right? Like, we've got guys like you that have quite a bit, Ryan, but it's exciting to see potentially what some of those new guys can do. And I actually think that that's probably where a little bit of a more lackluster week from a lot of us may be really strongly bolstered with guys like that, who come in and just kind of really take it to that next level that we're, as a team, a little more used to running at. That higher level of performance we usually run pretty well wherever we run, because we have guys that know how to do it, and then we all learn from them. It doesn't matter what type of track, we've got someone who's pretty good at it. And so it's one of those things I'm really looking forward to seeing how some of those guys can kind of come in and kind of put their car up near the front or in victory lane even potentially, right? So I think I'm a little strong on Revline this week, but it's not on the usual suspects that perhaps we sometimes talk about a lot. Historically, I mean, we've got new guys anyway, which changes that a bit, but really looking forward to seeing some different names perhaps at the top of our list this week.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's one thing that's nice about some of these schedule changes and stuff that NASCAR's done over the last couple of years, because like you said, diversity brings opportunity for especially newer guys, and that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted to have an opportunity for some of these newer guys, some of these rookies, to be able to pull off a good performance and put a show on, right? And we're seeing that carry over into iRacing, which is nice. So
yeah, absolutely.
Now we'll be taking a short ad break. When we come back, we'll be talking more about Jermane and his iRacing career, also his contributions to the team and how he's played a key role in Revline Racing's success so far.
Revline Racing's official podcast is brought to you by the following: Resurgence Apparel. Go to theresurgenceapparel.com for all of your apparel needs. Partnered with Champion Clothing, Casemate phone cases, and FlexFit hats. Before the Green and After the Checkers podcast, found on all major podcast platforms. Kyle Tate voiceover and narration, for the ultimate source in turning your audiobook dreams into reality. Jerky Pro, the go-to snack choice for gamers and athletes. AIM Supplements. Aim above ordinary standards with simple, safe, high-quality nutrition products. Player One Coffee. Every bag roasted to order for maximum refreshness. Ma Energy. Get simple energy made just for you. Rex Pair, the ultimate tire puncture repair kit. All right, guys, so we are back, and Jermane is still here with us, which is something that we say quite often. Why is Jermane still here with? No, I'm just kidding. But Jermane is Jermane is one of the original Revline team members, and he's been co-asphalt leader since I believe September with Kyle, who was on last week as well. Been a team member, much like many of us, since February of 2022, and predominantly runs NIS. But you run a lot of A Series Opens. You run a lot of trucks and Xfinity too. You kind of jump in whatever, don't you, Jermane?
Oh yeah, for the most part. Just depends on what the schedule is for that week. If it's a open race that I'm not very strong at, i.e. road courses or dirt, I will jump down to Xfinity or trucks to see where those guys are running. And even like this week, I've been doing super late models and had quite a bit of success. So I try not to be limited to one series. Obviously, NASCAR Next Gen is my bread and butter. That's what pays my imaginary bills. So that's what I stay on the most. But I try to be as diverse as I can. I think that it helps with the next gen. Just overall driver skills and situational awareness and stuff like that. So, yep.
Yeah, well, it seems to be panning out for you too, because you're only one win away from the Big 5-0, which I think we're all a little excited to celebrate that with you as a team. That's a huge accomplishment. But if you look further down your stat line, you've got 292 top fives. You've had 81 pole awards, and you've led over 5,600 laps. You're actually closer to 5,700 than you are to 5,600 at this point. And that's just on oval. That doesn't include any road courses or anything like that, which I know, like you said, they're not your bread and butter, but that doesn't even include those stats. So that's a pretty impressive stat line for a guy on iRacing.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, I'm sort of a big deal, Evan. Just wanted to let you know that. But no, seriously, man. Listen, I've been into NASCAR for most of my adult life. Well, all of my adult life. Actually started right around 95ish or so. I actually had NASCAR by Papyrus, and I think that might have came out 94, 95 on the
Yeah,
PC.
it was
So
somewhere between 94 and 96 because I too had NASCAR by Papyrus.
there you go. There you go. See, and the thing I liked about that game, unlike iRacing, is you can go into the files and manipulate what you want. So you can literally have no tie wear. You can do what you want, but you still were online with other people. And then of course I've done all the NASCAR heats and the Xboxes and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun with that stuff. But iRacing was always my ultimate goal. So I take it serious, man. It is a sim. Some people say it's a game, and I have to correct them. It's a simulation. Yes, maybe overall it's a game, but you're not gonna find a quote unquote game any more realistic than this. So I take it quite serious. I have a lot of fun with it too, but I try to learn something every race. I try to be competitive as best I can. I'm not always looking to win. Obviously that's the goal, but I try to at least learn something every race. So not only can I be good, I can bring some of that knowledge back to the team and spread that wealth around so we all can be good. So
And you do that a lot, actually, and I've learned a lot from you myself. One area that I know I've learned a lot from you was specifically with tire saving, making sure that your equipment lasts you, which, like looking at a race like last week, tire wear was a huge factor. And I think, I had a good run last week, finished well, and tire wear was a big part of that, and a lot of people don't understand how it works, and admittedly I didn't when I first joined on the service, and you were a big part of teaching me that. But in your mind, I mean, I can look at you and say that that's what I see as a strong suit, but what do you consider to be your strong points? What do you consider to be the areas that that you bring a lot to the team, and I guess on the flip side too, maybe what are some areas that you're like, I still need to work on this a little bit, you know?
Well, as a sim racer, your career is ever evolving. Your skills are ever evolving, and I appreciate that you say you learned some tire saving tips from me. But let me tell you, I don't feel like I save tires very well. I'm getting better, and I think the fact that I've actually upgraded my wheel to a direct drive, I can feel the car much better. Like I can tell what the car is doing. I can tell when I'm overdriving. I don't necessarily have to hear it. I can feel it in the wheel, and then I can try to make as many adjustments as possible, just to my steering and braking input. So that's what I feel like that's where I'm weak at, because of course when everybody first gets on here and start to work their way up the ladder, it's go 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 go. You're not really thinking about how to be in tire conservation mode. From the drop of the green flag, you're just trying to pass as many people as you can, and you're just burning your stuff up, and you don't really know no better. But as you start moving up to the different series and getting around guys that are much better than you, 10 to 15 laps into a run, you're wondering why those guys are pulling away from you, and it seems like you're going backwards. So it took me a long time to realize what I was doing wrong and try to work on that. And I'm still working on that today. So I appreciate you saying you learned that from me, because it is something I'm trying to be much better at, especially for A open races, because a lot of places we go, there tends to be a lot of green flag long runs, and tight conservation is a must. I will say one thing, Evan, though, I do really enjoy racing with you. I think you, myself, Kyle, we have very similar skill sets, and I think we race the same. We look for the same things throughout a race, and we try not to be in anyone's way, but we try to get to the front. For instance, like when me and you were running Atlanta a couple of weeks, we had a really great race, and it was unfortunate you kind of got taken out late, but we were dominating that race from green flag almost to the checkout. We were there. I mean, I did win that race, but had you not got wrecked out, you for sure would have been right there, or maybe you would have won. So I definitely enjoy running with you. At least I know I'm going to be protected. I'm going to protect you. And we're gonna try to do our 1-2 thing. And the same thing with Kyle. As far as my contribution to the team, no, go ahead. But what are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, except for that one time in Indy.
Listen, I don't think we want to tell the fans about Indy. Look, it worked out really well for one of us and terribly wrong for the other. I'm not gonna say who won. I mean, his name might start with E, but yeah.
Yeah, E. Jermane.
But yeah, even that race, man, we were, if I remember correctly, when we weren't up front, we were nose to tail most of the race. Like I remember looking in my mirror, and there was just this white Camry just chasing me all over the track, and it was you.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was
So,
fun.
oh yeah, we had a great race that day. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, we do race well together, and I think it's because we race together a lot, or at least a fair amount, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
You learn each other and things like that. But you were gonna lead into another topic, and then I think I kind of cut you off.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say my contribution to the team.
Yeah,
Hold on a minute. Yeah. That's hard. That's hard for me to really answer. Not because I don't feel like I've contributed, but I feel like we all bring something extremely special to the team. Um, Even the new guys. Like I'll be honest, I think they're all good. I haven't raced with them all, but the one guy I am super impressed with is Jeffrey Bala. Um, that guy can race, man. He's a smart racer. He's fast. He's smooth. He's fair, give and take. Like I'm very highly impressed with him, and I think he's going to be a great addition long term to the team. Some of the other guys that I know you guys raced with, which are Truck League, I'm not too familiar with them, but I haven't heard anything bad about them. I haven't seen anything bad out of them either. But
yeah,
I think we all bring something different and something special to the team. So like I said, it's kind of hard for me to point out one good thing I bring to the team. I just think overall, I just try to be competitive. I try to race you guys hard but fair, because that's how the A Opens and the NIS series are. No one's going to lay over for you. And even me as a teammate, I'm not going to lay over for you either. I mean, if I'm a lap down, yeah, but if we're racing on the same lap for position, you're gonna have to fight me for it. I'm not just gonna pull over, and I don't expect you guys to do that either. I try to be a fair competitor, but a fierce competitor. I try not to wreck folks, and I'm sure folks try not to wreck me, but it happens both ways from time to time. So I don't get too mad at it because it's racing. Racing is a contact sport.
Well,
Um,
I'm going to tell you something that I consider to be something that you bring to the team, at least from my perspective, that maybe you don't even really realize that you do, but um, naturally, we have a staff chat where we talk about things that perhaps not the entire team needs to be privy to for whatever reason, whether it's positives or negatives, right? There's things that timing needs to be adjusted. And sometimes we're not all on the same page, even in the staff group. And for whatever reason, when there's something that I consider to be an elephant in the room, but I'm kind of like, I don't think I want to address it. Like, I don't want to be the guy that's, bringing this up. For whatever reason, you and I always seem to be on the same page in those moments, and you have no issue just being like, guys, think about it this way. And I really appreciate that you're not afraid to be outspoken when you feel that it's time. You're not afraid to, just cut the crap and tell it like it is. And I think that's beneficial, not only in the staff chat, which is where I see it the most often, but even when we get on track in practice and maybe things are getting a little haywire. You and I actually make it a little haywire more often than anybody else, but you're not afraid to say, hey guys, come on, we're qualifying, let's cut the chat or something like that. And I really think that that's an important element of why you make a great uh, asphalt leader, with in tandem with Kyle, is because you're not afraid to call it out as it is. And I don't know if you necessarily know that about yourself. I mean, you probably do, but that's another thing that I see you bring to the team, and I think that's a really important element that some people might overlook, because it's easy to look at just the on track stuff, right?
oh yeah, and I appreciate you pointing that out. But to me, that's just my personality. That's just part of my character. I'm a no holds barred kind of guys. I try to be respectful and stuff, but sometimes you just gotta call things how you see it, man. And some people may agree, some people may not, but you know, there's always going to be a hint of truth and honesty there, and that's what I try to provide to not only this team, but just me as a man, to my family as a whole, to my work environment. Just try to be honest and call things out, as you see it. And like I said, some people don't always agree, but listen, Revline is an organization. We're all men, we're all sim drivers, and we always don't see things the same way. So that's why sometimes you got to hash things out and put everything on the table and go from there. So, but yeah, look, man, I love this team, and as long as you feel like I'm contributing to the team and other guys feel like I'm contributing, that's good enough for me, man. I just try to be, at the end of the day, I just try to be a good team member. I try to race hard, race fair, give good feedback the best I can, even be critical if I need to be, which honestly I really haven't had to do that too much because most of us, like you said, we're on the same page about a lot of things. And even the things we're not on the same page, we give each other the space to hash it out. No hard feelings. No one's getting butthurt about anything that's being said or being done. It just, listen, when you're in an organization, listen, things roll from the top down. And when the leader says we need to do such and such, that's what we got to do. So,
Fair enough. And
yes, sir.
I guess, speaking of calling it like it is, I think that's probably a good time to call it like it is and say, maybe this podcast has gone on long enough. But before we do that, Ryan, is there anything you want to add before we kind of? I know you're feeling a little under the weather tonight, so we won't force you to do anything that you're not comfortable with right now. But is there anything you want to add before we switch out and close this down for the evening?
Yeah, there is. Sorry, everybody. I'm nursing a little bit of a headache here, and it's getting the better of me tonight. But yeah, Jermaine, just to continue off of what you and Evan were talking about there for a little bit, as far as you being co-leader with Kyle, and going to Evan's point of, sometimes you just say it how it is, and that's exactly what's needed. And like you said, there's times where not all of us are going to agree, and that's the beauty of the organization. We can't always agree. If we always agree on everything, we wouldn't ever get anywhere, you know. And we would be so focused on doing one thing, we wouldn't see other perspectives, right? So being able to say it how it is, and bring in other perspectives and say, you know, well, this isn't how we should go about this, or, you know, maybe, you know, we're overlooking something else, and, you know, you're just like, hey, you guys are overthinking this or something, right? Just being able to just say it how it is, and bring different perspectives, or you know, check people sometimes, because people do need to be checked and corrected, and because some people, you know, see things certain ways and they don't see it from the other perspective. So just telling them, you know, hey, you need to look at it this way, you know. And one thing that I really like is we all stay pretty positive, and you do a really great job at that. You're always trying to keep us positive and focus on the next step, right? And usually it's the race that week, but sometimes it's, you know, that project that's coming up, and that's exactly what we need. But the one thing that I absolutely cherish about you is the loyalty you have to the organization, and that's something that I would love to see in everybody, but not everybody is able to show it in ways like you do. And so I really appreciate that. And it means a lot. And
you're gonna make me tear up over here, man.
well, I care about it a lot, and I know you do too, and that's the beauty of it, because we both share similar positions as far as the team, right? And how teammates should respect one another and act towards the team and whatnot. And we seem to always be on the same page with that, you know. You look at this team, and it'd be like any other sports team, right? You're committed to a sports team, and, you know, you have all these other players involved, and you have to be able to show respect to them, and also understand that they're growing with you, right? Without them, you wouldn't be on the team, and more than likely, you probably wouldn't be half the player that you are, right? And that's the beauty of it, because we're constantly checking each other and helping each other, and growing together, right? And you do a really great job with that, and that's the exact reason why we have you in the position you're at with co-leader.
Well, you know, man, I believe in loyalty. You know, either you're in or you're out. You know, there's no half stepping, and when you become part of a team, become part of an organization, you gotta put forth 100%, and you gotta do your part to make the overall organization better. And sometimes it's a big part, sometimes it's a small part, but it's a part, because I believe everybody can do something. I don't care how big it is, how small it is. So yeah, I'm a loyal guy, man. I'm very loyal, and Revline it's a great organization. I think we got some outstanding drivers. I do not, under any circumstances, want to join another team. I don't want to run with another team. I don't want to deal with another team. I think you guys are awesome. We've all got our own different quirks, and it just works, man. It's a well-oiled machine, and from inception to today, it's gotten better so much quicker. The performance with everybody has picked up tremendously. Like, I don't, literally, as a team, I don't believe we've gone one single week without someone winning something. And normally we're winning a handful, if not more, of races per week. And there's only, what, 10 drivers plus staff. It's not a very big team when you know, in the grand scheme of things, but we're winning so often as a team. Like, we're a force to be reckoned with. So, but it's because we're such a well-oiled group, a tight-knit team. We have organized practices, and not only that, we talk, we speak. When one of us having issues with one of the sets, or we're not feeling comfortable, or we want some advice, we hash it out, and then we have a place that we can go somewhere, run our problems, and, you know, come up with solutions. And that's only because we're a well-oiled team. Well-oiled teams don't usually have a lot of issues, and we definitely don't have any. So, but that starts with you, because it comes from the top down. You know, you're not bashful. You say what you want, you say what you mean, and you voice your opinion. And like you said, 9 times out of 10, I'm on board with you, because I try to be a no nonsense kind of guy. So if you're right, you're right, and that's, to me, that's just the bottom line.
Yeah, and to go back to what you said about the team size and stuff, that was a really good point, because I don't think people appreciate how small we actually are and how much success we have. You know, we're competing against teams that have, you know, 200, 250 people in their Discord, right? That are able to contribute to their team in some form of another, right? And I don't think they really appreciate that. Like, they are being provided a lot of data that they wouldn't have without those people, and I don't think they recognize that very well. But we're doing it with a dozen guys each week and competing with against those guys that have a couple hundred guys. And just statistically and from that perspective, it's amazing what we are doing, right? And I don't think that is appreciated nearly as much as it probably should be, as well as I don't think those teams are appreciating their fan base and the help of their customers, or however you want to view that, their supporters anyway, and their Discord. But yeah, I think we do a really good job here at Revline, and that starts from our staff and trickling down through, as you said, and luckily we have some really great guys in some really great positions, and you're one of them.
Yeah, I agree, and I appreciate the sentiment. But let me say one thing before we call it a night. Damn it, Kyle! I heard what you said at the last podcast. I wasn't abusing my admin powers there. I just think someone earned the EOL, and he'll get another one if I feel like it calls for one. And stop complaining about maintenance on in the morning. It happens every week, guy. Jesus Christ! Holy cow! Yeah, man. Like I said, I love this team, man. I appreciate every one of you guys. I think we got an awesome roster of drivers. I'm very impressed with our newer guys because they're putting in the work and it's showing on the track. I mean, even last week at Coda, when guys were top 5 ended up. I think Jeffrey had 2 or 3 wins last week. Like even the race where I finished 30th, he won. He led from from checkers, from green to checkered, and he dominated. So I'm very impressed with the core drivers we have, and I think it's only up from here. We're gonna do much bigger and better things, and these guys on iRacing better look out, because if they don't, they're gonna get hit with this wave, and they're not gonna know what happened.
Yeah, true enough, Jermaine. I totally agree with you. Long story short, we got a good team, and Jermaine's a big part of it. So, thanks again so much, every one of you, for listening each week. Those of you that do, those of you that haven't already liked and followed us, whether it be on Facebook, where we post a lot, Instagram, where we post a lot, Twitter, where we're building our following, or even just where you listen to your podcast, whether that be on YouTube or elsewhere. Make sure that you do. It really helps the algorithm, really helps us grow our content audience, and really helps contribute to the team a lot. So make sure you're following, not only for our benefit, but also for yours. You get to keep up with us each and every week. We promise to keep the content as entertaining and as interesting as we can. We do think we're bringing a lot to the table as far as the team goes, and we would like to bring that to you. So make sure and do everything you can to stay in the loop, because we will definitely do what we can to keep you there. Thanks so much for being here, not only to Ryan, but also to Jermaine for stepping in this week. Great to have you. See you all again next week.
Take it easy, guys.
Thank you for listening to Revline Racing's official podcast. Tune in next week for the next episode.